Hey everyone, this is David Brown with the migration update for March 17th, 2022 from the Braddock Bay Hawk Watch. It was a beautiful morning with sunny skies and light southwest winds. We had many new species for the season, and here's one of them. So this bird had just passed overhead and is going away, but what can we see on it? First of all, in the field we'd get a size impression, and it's relatively small. We see it's completely white underneath, and it appears to be a gull. And we look at the wingtips, and they're mostly white, but it appears to have a little bit of black. And so this is our most common small gull, which is a Bonaparte's gull. We had a handful of eastern meadowlarks today, and they're pretty distinctive because they're really the only medium-sized yellow birds that we're seeing at this time of year. Here we have a rusty blackbird, which is actually one of the most declining birds in the USA. But the one thing I want to point out is the light eye. So they're similar in that regard to grackles, but they don't have the long tails that grackles have. And I want to point out the shape of the tail. I believe they call this a club-shaped tail. But just the shape of the tail is quite a bit different than, say, on a red-winged blackbird. And of course, when they fly, they don't have the red on the wings, but from certain angles that may be hidden. We had a few dozen killdeer fly over today, and killdeer are really the only shorebird that we're seeing right now, and they have this distinctive double breast band. Here we have an American kestrel. Note the pointed wingtips that all falcons show, and also the distinctive facial pattern. We had our first brown-headed cowbirds of the season. Cowbirds are quite a bit smaller than the other blackbirds, such as red-winged blackbirds, and they have that distinctive brown head. There were quite a few American coots on the water. Notice the overall black plumage, which contrasts with the white bill. Here we have some northern shovelers, which we saw a few early on in the count, but it's been a while since we've seen one, so it seems like these really came in overnight. And I guess the most distinctive thing about shovelers is the huge honkin' bills that they have. But really, they have a lot of distinctive field marks, from the green head to the brown on the sides and belly to the upper wing pattern, which is kind of this slate or blue color, and then some white and then some green. Just very beautiful ducks. Here we have an adult red-shouldered hawk. So notice the overall orange coloration on the underside, along with a lot of black and white patterning on the wings. We have that tail that looks like a blackboard with thin chalk lines. And we also see a little bit of the pale crescents near the wingtips. They don't show as well when the birds are in a glide posture like this, but when they soar, that really stands out. And we notice that it does not have the dark patagial bars that the red tail has in this area. And I should also mention that some red-shouldered hawks have markings in the middle of the breast that kind of look like the belly band of a red-tailed hawk. So just be aware of that. Some do show this, and some it's very light. These two sandhill cranes couldn't seem to make up their mind. They would come closer, then they'd fly away, then they'd soar around a bit. They were probably in sight for at least a half hour, so they put on a good show for everyone who came out to the platform this morning. Here we have an adult red-tailed hawk, and I would say that this one is more on the lightly marked end of the spectrum, but we can still see the dark patagial bars and a little bit of the belly band. It doesn't really have much of one, but we can definitely see some markings. And we know it's an adult because it has a dark trailing edge to the wing and also a red tail. We had our first 4 tree swallows of the season. And throughout the season, we see many different kinds of swallows, but tree swallows are usually the first to arrive, and they're really distinctive. They're blue on top and white underneath. Unfortunately, we had a lake breeze kick in around 10:30 a.m., which is typical on these days that are kind of warm with light southwest winds. We'll have the wind suddenly switch to a northeast wind off of the lake, which drops the temperature and pushes the hawks inland. So they might still be migrating parallel to the shoreline, but they won't be over the platform. They might be another mile or two inland. And so under those conditions, we move to Frisbee Hill Park, where this photo was taken. And we stand near the wind block up top, on top of the sled riding hill. And we try to catch the hawks there. Here we have an accipiter, but is it a sharp-shinned hawk or a Cooper's hawk? From this angle, it's hard to see the size of the head, so that doesn't help us much. but we can see the markings on the breast, and we see it's kind of a vertical teardrop streaking that's mostly on the upper breast, and that's typical of a juvenile Cooper's hawk. Also on the tail, we see that it looks like the outer tail feathers are a little bit shorter, giving the tail tip a more rounded look, and looks like it has a pretty thick white band at the end of the tail. All of these field marks make this a juvenile Cooper's hawk. Let's compare that last bird to this one. This is an adult Cooper's hawk. So it's the same shape. It's got a big head, and it has a rounded tail because it has shorter outer tail feathers. And most Cooper's hawks have a thicker white tip to the tail than sharp-shinned hawks, but sharp-shinned hawks can show a white tip to the tail, especially in the fall. A lot of times by spring, that white tip has worn off a bit, so it's not as bold as on the Cooper's hawks. We also notice that this bird has a full crop, which is this bulge that you see here, and that just means that the bird ate recently. But sometimes that can change your perception of the size of the head, so be careful. Here we have another adult red-tailed hawk, and this one's more heavily marked than that last one we looked at. You can see the throat is a little bit darker, but we see those same classic field marks: dark patagial bars, belly band, and for adults, dark trailing edge to the wing, and red tail. And it's a buteo, and it's a rather big, bulky bird, not as slender looking as like a red-shouldered hawk. In a few weeks, the ospreys will return and probably nest on this cell phone tower, but for now, there was a red-tailed hawk perched on top of it. Turkey vulture numbers continue to pick up, and again, they're pretty distinctive. They have the red head, they have the two-toned underside with the dark body and wing coverts, but with the whiter flight feathers. Here we have another adult red-shouldered hawk, and notice that this one doesn't have much at all of that belly band kind of look that we saw in the other one. So there's a lot of variation to the plumage, but we see all the other field marks are the same, with the banded tail, the pale crescent near the wingtip, and just the overall coloration underneath. Here we have another adult red-tailed hawk. Patagial bars, belly band, dark trailing edge to the wing, red tail. Here we have another look at a turkey vulture that is banking while it is soaring, and this really gives us an idea of how small the head is compared to how long the tail is. Here we have an adult male northern harrier, a gray ghost. Notice that it has the same shape as all harriers, so long skinny wings, long tail. And the other distinctive thing you can look for on these adult males are these dark feathers here at the trailing edge of the wing, these dark secondary feathers. Here's another first of year, and this was the first warbler of the season. This is a yellow-rumped warbler, and you don't need to see the rump to identify these. They're pretty distinctive in a couple ways. The combination of the white throat compared to this sort of darker face stands out pretty well. You have this streaking that's on the sides of the upper breast, and also the tail pattern, very distinctive with these large white patches. Here's the same bird as it went by. So again, you can see that facial pattern, and you can see the streaking on the sides. Also, you get a look at the wing bars that it has. And the subspecies that we have in the eastern US are the myrtle subspecies, which have a white throat, compared to the Audubon's subspecies out west, which has a yellow throat. If we take a look at eBird, we see that at the platform, 66 species today, so by far the biggest day so far this season. And at Frisbee Hill, 34 species. And if we take a look at hawk count, the migrant raptors for today were 139 turkey vultures, 6 bald eagles, 9 northern harriers, 6 sharp-shinned hawks, 9 Cooper's hawks, 42 red-shouldered hawks, 34 red-tailed hawks, 3 rough-legged hawks, 1 golden eagle, 5 American kestrels, 1 merlin, and 2 peregrine falcons for a grand total of 257 birds. So that's the highest total we've had so far this season. Let me briefly talk about the golden eagle. It came towards the end of the day, and it was in really bad light and somewhat distant, and my photos didn't come out very good. So I'm going to wait until I get better photos of a golden eagle so I can explain the differences between golden eagle and bald eagle a little bit better. We had a really good morning flight from the end of the boardwalk at Braddock Bay Park, including numbers like 800 American robins, 750 red-winged blackbirds, and so just a really fun morning because there were so many birds migrating. Let's take a look at the new species for the season. We had brown-headed cowbird, Lapland longspur, tree swallow, double-crested cormorant, Bonaparte's gull, yellow-rumped warbler, red-breasted nuthatch, and golden eagle. If we take a look at the forecast for tomorrow, it'll be a mix of sun and clouds, then cloudy, high around 50, and light north-northeast winds. So probably won't be that great of a day with those northerly winds. For Saturday, we're looking at showers and thunderstorms in the morning, then overcast in the afternoon. High up in the mid-60s, winds south-southwest at 15 to 25 kilometers per hour. So those are good, warm, southerly winds, but the rain may prevent a raptor flight. So we'll keep an eye on what the forecast looks like for tomorrow. Could be an interesting day for migration overall, but probably not a lot of raptors if there's too much rain. And Sunday, showers in the morning, then partly cloudy, high in the upper 40s, west winds at 25 to 40 kilometers per hour, so fairly strong westerly winds. Again, not looking like a fantastic day. All right, that's it for today. It was good to see so many people come out to the Hawk Watch this morning, and it was just a little unfortunate that the lake breeze kicked in so early. But we did end up having a decent flight over at Frisbee Hill Park. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you don't miss any of these daily updates from the Braddock Bay Hawk Watch. This is David Brown. Thanks for watching.